So without further ado, let's do what we came here to do. You dig? Let's go. Question number one. This is deep. This came from the mind of AB, right? This is a very deep question, right? So AB is only right that you start off answering this question. How does the pursuit of happiness align or diverge from the search for the meaning of life? And once you establish that, can your same journey exist within the Deen, right? Following everything in our Deen. So first, I want you to go into that first question and look at aligning that with the Deen. So what do you think about that?
The thing is, I don't know. This is I've been thinking about this question lately. That's why I brought it up, right? And I wanted to ask, and even get like the people's feedback and see what they think, because like
Right.
we always hear people saying, like, I'm on the pursuit of happiness, and I'm trying to find happiness and happiness and happiness, but happiness is just one emotion out of like X amount of emotions that we have as humans, you know? So why are we always trying to seek out only happiness? Is the first question, you know? Why are we only care about this? Like, why are we just so focused on happiness when like humans can feel like a spectrum of emotions, you know? That's the first question. Okay. And then on top of that, why is our only purpose in life just to seek that in particular? So we put so much energy in happiness, but if you really think about it, happiness is it's a very like minor emotion. Yeah, it feels good obviously because you feel happy, but it's a very minor emotion. Like because the other emotions last longer. Like you feel like sad sometimes even longer than happiness, because happiness is a very short emotion if you really were to put a time frame on it, you know? and that's the first way I see it. Now, I wanted to ask you this question before, and I think I've asked you before, but you forgot. And I said, and I asked you this question. I want to ask also the audience, and you're going to answer because it's going to make sense. It's going to go full circle.
Okay.
It's going to be like, do you think happiness is earned, or do you think happiness is given?
I definitely, I don't think that this world gives happiness. I think that you have to first earn it. And what I mean by earning it, I feel like you have to do the work necessary to reach a state where you can accept happiness. Because at some point we were happy, we're innocent in our lives, but then at some other point, maybe it's a fact of things hit us the wrong way, and we're so down about ourselves, and we speak negatively about ourselves, or we don't see the bigger picture. We just focus on the minute details, and we may not like our place or station in life. But for you to accept it, you have to do the work necessary to get out of that. When life hits you and knocks you down, what is your response? Are you going to fight, or is it flight? And so once you figure out your response and you go forth with that 110%, then, especially if you fight, once you get through all of that, you battle and you get to see the rainbow on the other side, right? Now you can say, wow, I've seen the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, I earned that happiness, because now I have something to say where I see the other side where it wasn't that happy. And now I can at least say, thank you. I'm gracious. I mean, not gracious, I have gratitude. I'm humbled by what just happened. So therefore, I received that happiness and I earned that happiness through the trials and tribulations. Now, does happiness remains as a long-term state? No, it can go, but you can also have positive discontent as well. What do I mean by that? So you can look at your life and not be where you want to be, or you're tired of the journey, but you're positive about where you're going. So even though you're not there at the moment, you're discontented by it, but you're still positive. You're overall happy about yourself, and you know the destination. So therefore, you'll keep going along. And quite frankly, the process can make you happy, because you find that, hey, I'm closer. Every single day, I'm closer to where I need to go, right? So
small wins.
Right. I'm earning these small wins every time. I'm earning that closer step, to where I need to be for happiness. So that's the way I look at it in terms of earning it. Life doesn't give it to you, right? Only time I feel like it could give it to you, like you're a father. So you could say, hey man, when my son came out, I was happy. Look at that. I made that. Or Allah helped me make that. Right? Or you can look at some other things like in life. I mean, I'm not a parent, but I'm just saying that's one example that I can look at someone just easily that was given, but you still had to work for that too. So
Happiness is one of those feelings that is very fickle. It's very, very
yes.
fickle. And you catch it in moments. Okay. And you said something very profound. You said like it's the journey that matters. Okay. Not the destination, but the journey. Okay.
Hmm.
When you realize that you can fall in love with the journey, it doesn't matter about the destination because you know you're gonna be there. But in your mind, you have to fall in love with whatever journey you're going through. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? And once you fall in love with the journey, the destination will be twice as better because you've seen the fruits of your labor in
Inshallah.
whatever inshallah, God willing,
Hmm.
inshallah, of whatever you've done. And it's funny because as a child, we're so sheltered. Our parents shelter us, our community does the same thing. They shelter us as well. So you don't know the trials and tribulations of reality. Some kids do. Some kids start at a very young age, but overall, most people are sheltered, right? And then as you get older, the safety nets that were set to protect you break. They get less and less as you get older, and then you see the real life. You see real life. You feel me?
Yes.
And 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 we're so infatuated with trying to have this attainment with happiness that we feel that we earn. I mean, we're not earned it. We're owed it. We
Mm.
it is our right to be happy. You know what I'm saying? And this entitlement mentality is what makes people crash. Oh, I've done everything the right way. I've done this. Da da da. Why am I not getting the results that I need? Or why am
Mm.
I doing this? And why am I not happy? Or why am I going through this? And that is the second part that I'm going to answer.
Hmm.
The second part, the second part is the Deen. This is where the Deen comes in. You know, this is the beauty of the Deen. Okay, and it's so hard because the Deen tells you that the journey of the believer is one of the most difficult things ever because Allah if Allah loves you and he loves all his creations, the more trials and tribulations he sends your way, and he only sends things that you're capable of handling. He will never ever send you things that you're not capable of handling. So whatever you're going through, you have to understand that this is a test from Allah. But here's the caveat. The caveat is that you must mentally, and you said earlier, you must mentally understand that one is a test, which is very hard. It's easier said than done. That's number one. Okay. Number two, you have to see the signs of the test. What am I being tested on? Okay. And these could be very traumatic experiences. Losing your mother, losing your child, going through a divorce, whatever curveballs life throws at you. But you must understand and you must stay privy to these things. Number three, you must understand that when you go through these experiences, you're gonna be changed person. You're gonna you if you can face the storm, the skin that you've now cultivated and you're now thicker, you're not the same person you used to be, and this is one of the hardest things to do, man. That's how like and that journey is the truest level of happiness when you've gone through an experience and you've gone through uh whatever like the spears and the swords and you've been cut and all this stuff, and then when you come back, you're a different person. You always are, you know.
It sounds like Game of Thrones.
Basically.
All these trials, all these wars. I gotta make alliances over here. I gotta watch my back once this alliance is done. All these different things. So it is a war field in a sense with life. It's how you approach it. Do you say, "Hey, man, we lost"? I see all these people there about to battle against us. Or is it like, "No, let's go head first. I'm ready."
Yeah.
It's a different,
Dive
different,
in. Dive in.
different energy. You know what I'm saying? It's a different energy. I want to address a question you had or a statement you had. You said that a lot of people are not really. I'm paraphrasing, by the way. I'm not saying exactly what you said, but you said that people are not necessarily happy with the journey sometimes, or happy with their circumstances. They feel like they're owed happiness. They feel like they're owed satisfaction. Do
Yeah,
you feel like now today that has sped up a lot more because we have social media and you're seeing the highlights of people's lives? Or do you
absolutely.
think of people just comparing themselves to someone next to them or their
No,
coworker?
no. We are in the everything now is like on cloud nine. Like it's like it's extremely highlighted, you know? I can see some guy or some whatever girl in a different country living a lavish life, and people now are, you know, they say what's the actual quote, but I'll paraphrase it. They say, what do you call it, comparing is the poison of life. Okay,
Yeah,
comparing.
comparison is the thief of joy. I've heard it that
Yes,
way.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Comparison is the thief of joy. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you compare your life to whatever life you're looking at, whether it's through the lens of social media or in real time, then you forget the current blessings that you have in your own life. And it's very hard nowadays because everyone's comparing, you know? And I try to remind myself, because like you see like these like new like entrepreneurs, they, oh, like, what are you doing working 9 to 5? You should be having a Lamborghini, you should be having this, and you should be doing this, and everybody nowadays is an expert in like whatever they're into right now. Everyone's giving advice and everyone's telling each other what to do, but the reality is like they're also just as lost. So you have to also, the biggest advice that I was given at a very young age, I remember back in like high school, um, back when the social media was booming or starting to boom, and you see all these like influencers and and people started making, like, people saw that influencing can make real money. um the best advice that I was ever given was like, life is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So if you only focus on your lane, you are where you are supposed to be, and you will be where you need to be in the future, wherever that is. If you focus life as as a sprint, and you're always running, sprinting very fast, how fast does a sprint race last? What, 9 seconds? You know what I'm saying?
For me, five. I'm cooked after that.
You know what I'm saying? So if you look at life in that kind of context where you say, yeah, it's a marathon. Some people are doing 30K, what do you call it, marathons. Some people are doing 100K marathons. Some people, so whatever marathon you are running and whatever goals you are accomplishing in your marathon, that's your goals. Don't look at my lane. Don't look at the person. Don't look
Right.
behind you. Just be tunnel vision. Look at your lane within your two lines and stay where you are, and you'll be where you have to be. It's that simple. But most people nowadays, social media has like expedited this like keeping up with the Jones kind of like attitude.
Yeah, but you see, I think the keeping up of the Joneses is a major issue. There was actually a movie, I forgot what it was called, but it was the same concept of keeping up with the Joneses. And it really dove into the family that was the Joneses, that
Mm,
was really living life. Everything that you could dream of, like this family had, they were the model family of the block, probably the most successful family. But inside their house, they were going crazy to keep up this image, to
yes.
keep everyone on the same schedule, to not spend as much money as they shouldn't spend, to keep everyone grounded and humble, right? And on to the next. Because at a certain point, if you received everything, if you bought everything, if you experienced everything, what's the next step? What is
What
that?
you're,
Like,
what you're referring to is called hedonism. So to be
yeah, yeah, this absolutely.
hedonism is a very hedonism stems from the two, what do you call it, um the two seven deadly sins. It stems from greed and it stems from gluttony. Okay, so it stems from those two. Okay, so obviously, and every human is built the same way. Every human, whether you're in different, doesn't matter about gender, doesn't matter about culture. Humans all have the seven deadly sins, and hedonism stems from greed and gluttony. So we as humans, we're very greedy, and it's even in the Quran. Allah said in the Quran, where like, son of Adam, if I was to give you a mountain of gold, that would never be enough. You would ask for another one. You know, so it's in us. We're innately creatures of greed, so that's why, and that's where the Deen comes in, and it curbs, because this is an innate desire that we have. We want more, so it's very scary. And if greed isn't controlled, or gluttony isn't controlled, then that's basically the demise of humans. So I'm not surprised, to be honest.
Yeah, when it comes to like the Deen, you have to look at when you talk about Islam at this core, right? It's about submission. And so for you to look at, okay, how can I coexist what I want and my happiness with what is in the Deen, you first have to submit and say, you know what, I'm shedding my happiness away for the greater happiness of the Deen, the greater happiness of my akhirah, right? For what I'm trying to achieve in the hereafter.
Hmm.
And so I think that's part of it. And sometimes we may not do that. Some people are born Muslim, so they have to do anything. They have to have no concept of this, right? And so you're just riding along in the same religion that was given and passed down to you. And whether you value it or not, that's up to you as a person, right? Something or some place or something is going to make you examine that at one day. I'm speaking more of a revert perspective. When I came into the religion, I had to shed a lot of things away from me that were not a part of the Deen. And so therefore I had to submit that and say, you know what? I'm giving that away for something greater. So now if this life is greater, why are you going to backslide to the previous life that you were in?
Hmm.
And so my happiness stems from my creator, from my God. And therefore whatever pleases him will please me. Even if I don't necessarily believe in it, I know that this is my blueprint to
Hmm.
success. So I think sometimes as a revert, I think it's easy to say, you know what? I've already done that work. I think sometimes my brothers who are in the religion already from birth, sometimes they don't look at it that way because they never had to come to that question full stop and say, well, what about my happiness? Well, your happiness is within the religion at the end of the day. So what do you think about what I'm saying? Because I'm a revert. I'm speaking from my perspective. What about from you?
When it comes to, because you know being born into Islam, and especially growing up in a Western country, you hold different identities. You feel me? And I told you this before. Like, I think most Western Muslims will probably feel this way. Uh, you take the religion for granted, and Alhamdulillah, like my parents were well practicing Muslims, immigrants. So
Alhamdulillah.
our foundation was the religion. But also, don't forget, once you leave the household, you are now you're now navigating in a different landscape, and you're still westernized at the end of the day. Now, for my experience, yes, and from my circle and from what I understand, most people, we do take the religion for granted. 100%, we do take it for granted, because we were born into it, so we don't know the struggle of searching for something that completes you. Because we don't have to do the groundwork. We were born into the building. We were not out of the building. You feel me? So so what do you call it? And then at some point, because you start maturing as a child and you start questioning things, and as you question things, it's fine, but the questioning has to make sense, and you have to seek out answers, um, where they come from. So luckily for me, I had a household where both my parents were educated, so those questions, those answers, weren't far from me. But most people, if you ask them, they end up kind of like straying away from the religion. But subhanallah, most people always end up coming back to the religion, and this stems from what I understood. It stems from going through, subhanallah, because going through traumatic experiences, for the most part, they always bring you back to Allah. They always bring you back to Allah, and it's kind of like a sensible thing to do, because you realize how like alone you are, and you need this foundation of religion, and Allah is the only person that like answers your prayers, and it's a beautiful thing. So that's how I see people who are born into the religion. We all have the same story, to be honest. We do. Like, we all have similar stories, and it's
Maybe
interesting.
Yeah, AB, you're saying something that made me think about this. Questioning your religion is important and essential to reaffirm your foundation.
Facts. Yes,
So,
exactly. Exactly.
regardless if I'm looking to revert somewhere else,
Yes, yes,
or I'm
yes.
going to stay in my religion and believe
Yeah.
it 110%, I have to ask questions for it
Yes.
to make sense, for my faith, to my iman to be boosted,
Yeah.
right? For
You
me to have
and
more
you
ammo to fight again
not
another
even
day.
not
So,
even fight, not even fight, man. It's reassure, bro. There's a feeling that I can't explain that's reassuring that once you've passed your questioning phase, no matter how long it is, and the questioning phase is a test from Allah, by the way. That questioning phase is a test from Allah. Whether you know it or not, Allah is testing to reaffirm the faith, okay? The faith that you have. Do
right,
you truly believe in this religion? And and if you come out, obviously it's a very, and it doesn't matter if you are born Muslim or if you're a revert or whatever you are, that period is essential because that period is what, like, that's like you basically come out made of Teflon. You know what I'm saying? Like you're you know what I'm saying? Like it's a very interesting, because I've talked to, because when you leave high school, and university is a very interesting period in people's lives, because now the ideas that you're having in university are now aligning with your growth, and you're meeting people, and people are questioning your ideologies and your creed and your religion and your gender and all these things are being questioned, your culture, all these things. So one of the most important things and one of the most very aligning things is religion. Okay, and then you start seeing, because you realize the most important label you have is your religion. At that point you realize it, because that's the only thing that's been what do you call it, linear since you were, or if you're a revert it becomes linear, but if you were born into Islam, it's the only thing that's linear in your life. It's straight and it makes sense, and it's comforting. You feel wholesome, you feel holistic. So
yeah,
that's what I've come to realize, and it's a very, very, because sadly I've seen brothers and sisters that um, got stuck in that questioning period,
yeah,
and they couldn't, and they failed the test. But Allahu alam, because Allah knows best, and Allah is the best of planners, and maybe there's another period of time in their life, if Allah wants it and if Allah allows it, that they can come back into it. And like I said, Allah is the best planners. So some people in life, you times at times you have to learn the hard way. But like I
yeah,
said, Allah knows
yeah,
best.
yeah, definitely. And before we end this topic, because this has been a very spirited first question, I have a couple of friends right now, some of my best friends back in the States, who are in that phase right now, where they're like, I'm not sure this is the religion I should be in.
Mm,
And so they said, well, Justin, how did you look into Christianity? Look out of Christianity and look into Islam. I said, that's not your question first. Your question first is your situation or your thinking of another religion or not being happy in your religion, is that about the word, about what you're being told? Or is it about the people? Is it about the church culture? Is it about things that are outside or inside? If it's
mm,
about what's inside, then that's something serious because you can't agree with something that you don't agree with. If you look at
facts,
the book or the text or anything, you don't
facts.
agree with that. That's something bigger that you need to look outside. But if it's the people or the theatrics or entertainment you may feel or whatever, that's something that you can move to another place. There's many churches, there's many communities. Go check those out. See how you feel. And that's what I said to them. It's not about me looking to Islam or you should be looking to Islam because I did. It's about, okay, focus on your religion. Is your religion, does that feel like it's what you believe in? If it's not, then that's a serious problem. Then outside of that, then you go look. For me, it
Mm,
was about the text. I didn't have questions answered. You know, subhanAllah, you had family members, your mother and your father, who were great exemplars
mm-hmm,
of the religion, of the Deen. And I'm sure your siblings contributed to that as well. So you had a power base that could answer any questions. But when I came from that same thread, I have uncles who are pastors, but I just feel like I couldn't get the answers from them, and they're the ones leading a church. And I'm not saying that they had to give me the answers, but I didn't feel it. Maybe they did give me an answer or two. I didn't feel it. When I read it, I didn't feel it. So therefore, there was a massive problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did have problems with some other things about black churches are a great experience. It really is a great experience. But for me, that's not who I am. I don't need all the singing and praising and all that. That wasn't me. I didn't need all of those things. And other things like that just didn't vibe with me. But that's not enough for me to say, let me go to another religion. That's a moving from another church to another church, another community to another community. So it just depends on what you're looking for. But this is a great topic. I can talk. I'm sure you could talk about this forever. I
I
could talk
can.
about this forever as well.
I can.
But we're trying to be our best stewards of time, right? So we're going to close this one out. I'm going to move on to the next.